kind of playing the tiny violin on this one. It is really a bummer. Josh Downs out for 4 to 6 weeks with a high ankle sprain here, Lawrence, in an offense that Josh Downs is a massive part in the slot in this offense. Whether it was Anthony Richardson out there, obviously Gardner Minshew. Now, it's not like his season's over, but these ankle sprains can linger as well.
Yeah, and it's really tough, man, because as we all know, Anthony Richardson and Josh Downs had a nice little chemistry going last year. Matter of fact, he caught he was targeted 18. He got 18% of Anthony Richardson's targets last year. They really started to develop something, and they carried that over into this training camp. Like everyone was talking about how good of a camp Josh Downs. So it just gets slowed up a bit. So while he's not out for the season, that kind of takes away from, his development, Anthony Richardson's development, and their chemistry together. So that'll be tough. I guess we'll see who replace him. Shane Steichen said that the Colts starters will play a couple of series here. So the guy directly behind Josh Downs, not saying he's going to be fantasy relevant, but another slot receiver, Anthony Gould out of Oregon State, small, fast guy who could run, make a big play here or there. So that'll be the guy I would look for in this situation.
Denny, is there somebody that gets a boost? Is it an Adonai Mitchell, or is it just kind of the mainstay? Is it just, hey, crank it up for Michael Pittman?
So, yeah, I think this just means more targets for Michael Pittman. In offenses with mobile quarterbacks who run off, and which, that's what we have with Richardson. The wide receiver 1 gets a lot of looks, a ton of looks. The wide receiver 2, not so much. Okay, there's not a great history there. So I think that if you've drafted Pittman already, if you're going to, I think that you're going to see an influx of targets that maybe wouldn't have been there with Downs in the lineup. Now, I mean, I'm talking like Downs is out for the year. He's not, but the fact that the team immediately said it was a high ankle sprain, I think that's telling, because teams don't like to admit that, right? They immediately come out and they say, "Oh, it's just a very normal ankle sprain. It's very low."
Dealing with an ankle, always.
Yeah, well, it's a very low ankle sprain. This is what they say every time, but they didn't with him. So I'm thinking that it could linger for a while.
Another injury, a little more serious with this one. Unfortunately, Rondale Moore out for the season with a knee injury. So the Falcons wide receiver room takes a hit right there, Denny. Ray McLeod bumped up into the slot after Rondale Moore's out. Is this more Darnell Mooney? I mean, or is this the same playbook we just ran with Michael Pittman, where it's like, hey, look at Drake London, maybe look at Kyle Pitts. Those guys just get more on their plate now.
When they asked me to come on the show today, I said, under only one condition, I get to talk about Ray McLeod. And so thank you.
We granted that access.
For letting me do that. So here's the thing with McLeod, who's a journeyman, he's played for the Niners. Has had some fantasy relevance over the years, especially when like receivers around him go down to injury. McLeod was already running with the first team offense in Atlanta, and Rondale Moore was running with the second and third team. So he was already kind of locked in. I think that Raymond McLeod could be like a mainstay on the field with the Falcons offense that is sure to run a lot of 3 receiver sets. Does that mean I'm like super excited to draft McLeod? Of course not. But I think in deeper leagues where you got to fill a bunch of flex spots or something, like one of those leagues that just stresses you out to make a starting lineup every week, I think you could do way worse than McLeod.
When you said you were going to talk about Ray McLeod, I didn't know you was serious.
Oh, I was dead serious.
But all I got to say about that is get well soon, Rondale Moore. And from a fantasy standpoint, this doesn't affect what the Falcons offense is going to do. It's going to be Drake London, it's going to be Kyle Pitts, and then Darnell Mooney.
All right, guys, let's get into some preseason action here real quickly to close it out. And we have to talk about the Giants backfield, which has a lot of eyes on it now for various reasons. Obviously, during the preseason, you're going to see more opportunity for the guys behind Devin Singletary, while Eric Gray had the big night, 2 touchdowns, 98 total yards. He had the 48-yard touchdown run, Lawrence. Tyrone Tracy started ahead of Gray, and in limited action, Tracy looked really good as well.
Yeah, I think what I got mostly from this is that all those guys, Tyrone Tracy, Eric Gray, they basically compete to see which guys are going to get those few touches away from Devin Singletary. That's why I think these guys both ran well, to be honest. I know Eric Gray had the long run, but Tyrone Tracy has some nice, tough runs in his own right. But that's pretty much what I got from this. And pretty much that whole game is that these guys are competing to see some real field time in the regular season.
Brian Daboll said something that stuck with me a couple weeks ago, which was that Devin Singletary, quote, knows the system. And a coach loves a running back that knows the system. And that's what we have with Singletary, he's boring. Okay, I'm for Roto-World, I'm writing a piece on boring running backs, and he's going to be the cover guy. He's a boring running back. I think that he's clearly the lead back, and I don't think these guys are going to threaten his role both as an early down guy and as a pass catcher out of the backfield. Now, you know, an injury to Singletary and these guys become interesting, Gray especially, but I like Singletary a lot. Of course, I do enjoy some late round running backs.
Knows the system is like the new version of when you need 5 years of experience for an entry-level job. It's like, how do I get 5 years of experience if I've never had the entry-level job? You got to know the system. How do I know the system if I can't play over other guys that know the system?
Well, and Singletary played for Daboll in Buffalo, if folks forget.
Yeah.
And so, he's a system knower, and I do value that.
So bottom line, know the system.
Know the system. Guys, I'll close out with a fun one here. Lawrence and then to Denny, where's the panic alarm on the CeeDee Lamb Cowboys situation right now? Out of 10, give me the panic scale.
I was just talking to a guy that I'm like, they got it. They're gonna sign CD. Like, it should be no panic.
It's like a layup.
But a dude like Jerry will make you think that it is some panic in that, and I just don't even be thinking Jerry knowing what he be talking about sometime, man. He just out here he gonna mess around and write this dude a check for $41 million a year, and because he like to overpay his guys. He did it with Zeke a couple years ago. I think he don't know what he's talking about right now.
I mean, what a bizarre interview he had about CeeDee Lamb. He said, look, I went to high school, I went to college, and we're gonna sign CD when we get the chance. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Thank you for confirming, Jerry, that you went to high school and college. I'd put it at like a 6 right now as far as panic goes.
That's sweating.
I mean, I'm sweating. A little back sweat for CeeDee Lamb's situation. I'm thinking that it's going to linger into August. It's not a good way to go into the season. But of course, if I had the chance to get CeeDee Lamb in fantasy drafts, I'm doing that.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.